Hello, mighty companions. This is Earl Purdy, and I'm here today to do your Course in Miracles lesson 167. And 167 is, there is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that one life I share with God. There is but one life, and that I share with God. Do you know that there are not different kinds of life? Because life is like the truth. Life doesn't have degrees. It's the one condition in which all that God created shares, life. Like all God's thoughts, it has no opposite. There is no death because what God created shares God's life. There is no death. There is no death because an opposite to God does not exist. There is no death because the Father and the Son, you and God are one. In this world, there appears to be a state that's life's opposite. You call it death. Yet we have learned that the idea of death takes many forms. It is the one idea that underlies all feelings that are not supremely happy. The one idea that underlies all feelings that are not supremely happy is the idea of death. It is the alarm to which you give response of any kind that is not perfect joy. All sorrow, loss, anxiety, and suffering and pain, even a little sigh of weariness, a slight discomfort, or the merest frown acknowledge death, and thus deny that you live. You think that death is of the body, yet death is but an idea. Death is an idea. Irrelevant to what is seen as physical, death is an idea. A thought is in the mind. It can be then applied as the mind directs the thought, but the origin of the thought is where the thought must be changed if change occurs. Ideas do not leave their source. Ideas do not leave their source. The emphasis this course has placed on that idea that ideas do not leave their source is due to its centrality in our attempt to change your mind about yourself. The emphasis this course has placed on the idea that ideas leave not their source is due to its centrality in our attempts to change your mind about yourself. It's the reason you can heal. It's the cause of healing because ideas do not leave their source. It's why you can't die because ideas do not leave their source. Its truth establishes you as one with God. Do you know that death is the thought that you are separate from your Creator? Death is the thought that you are separate from your Creator. It is the belief conditions change, emotions alternate because of causes you can't control, you did not make, and you can never change. Death is the fixed belief ideas can leave their source. Death is the fixed belief that ideas can leave their source, and that ideas can take on qualities the source doesn't contain. Becoming different from their own origin, apart from their own origin in kind as well as distance, time, and form. Death cannot come from life. Ideas remain united to their source. Ideas can extend all that their source contains, in that ideas can go far beyond themselves, but ideas cannot give birth to what was never given to the ideas. As ideas were made, so will their making be. As thoughts were born, so will thoughts then give birth. And where thoughts come from, their thoughts will return. Do you know that the mind can think it sleeps, but that's all? Your mind cannot change what is its waking state. Your mind cannot make a body. Your mind cannot really abide within a body. What is alien to the mind doesn't exist, because what is alien to the mind has no source. For mind creates all things that are, and cannot give all things that are attributes. Mind lacks nor change its own eternal mindful state. It cannot make the physical. In other words, what seems to die is but the sign of mind asleep. What seems to die is but the sign of mind asleep. The opposite of life can only be another form of life. As such, it can be reconciled with what created it because it is not opposite in truth. In other words, the form of life may change. It may appear to be what it's not. Yet mind is mind, awake or sleeping. Mind is not opposite in anything created, nor is what it seems to make. Man is not its opposite in anything created, nor in what it seems to make when it believes it sleeps. Don't you know that God creates only man awake? God doesn't sleep, and God's creations cannot share what God gives not, nor make conditions where God does not share with them. The minds of God's creations cannot share what God gives not, nor make conditions which God does not share with his creations. The thought of death is not the opposite to thoughts of life. Forever unopposed by opposites of any kind, the thoughts of God remain forever changeless, with the power to extend forever changelessly, but yet within themselves, for the thoughts of God are everywhere. What seems to be the opposite of life is merely sleeping. When the mind elects to be what the mind is not, and to assume an alien power which the mind does not have, a foreign state the mind can't enter, a false condition not within its source, the mind merely seems to go to sleep a while. The mind dreams of time, an interval in which what seems to happen never has occurred, time. The changes wrought are substanceless in time, and all events are nowhere really in time. When the mind awakes, the mind but continues as it always was. So let's today be children of the truth and not deny our holy, innocent heritage. Our life is not as we imagine our life. Who changes life because they shuts their eyes and makes themselves into what they're not because they sleep, or sees in dreams the opposite to what they really are. We will not ask for death in any form today. We will not ask for death, nor will we let imagined opposites to life abide even an instant where the thought of life eternal has been set by God himself. God's holy home we strive to keep today as God created it and established it and wills it be forever and forever. The Creator is Lord of what we think today. We're going to let our Creator be Lord of what we think today. And in our Creator's thoughts, which have no opposite, we understand there is one life, and that one life we share with God and with all creation, and with their thoughts as well, whom God created in a unity of life that could not separate in death and leave the source of life from where it came. Do you know that we share one life because we have one source, a source from which perfection comes to us, remaining always in the innocent minds which the Creator created perfect. As we were, so are we now, and will forever be. A sleeping mind must waken as it sees its own perfection reflecting the Lord of life so perfectly. It fades into what is reflected there. And now it is no more a mere reflection. What you're seeing in truth is no more a mere reflection. You actually become the thing reflected, and the light which makes reflection possible. No vision now is needed. For the wakened mind is one that knows its source, itself, and its innocence. The wakened mind is one that knows its source, itself, and its innocence. So today's lesson is, there is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that you share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that you share with God. There is one life, and that you share with God. There is one life, and that you share with God. There is one life, and that you share with God. There is one life, and that you share with God. There is one life, and that you share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. There is one life, and that I share with God. You have but one life, and that you share with God. That one life, you have but one life. You have but one life. Listen to me, you have but one life, and that you share with God. That means there is one life, and that you share with love. There is one life, and that you share with love. There is one life, and that you share with God. There is one life, and that you share with God. Mighty companion, this is Earl Purdy. Go to www.earlpurdy.com and check me out. And let peace at peace extend from my mind and my heart to yours. Yes.